The 2020 Netflix film His House, written and directed by newcomer Remy Weeks, is just one of the many black horror fiction offerings to come out in recent years. Now, with such an embarrassment of riches for a black horror fan to consume in the form of movies, TV shows, graphic novels, traditional novels, short stories, is this low-budget Netflix haunted house movie worth your time? Well, I'm gonna let you know right about now.
He doesn't really make those types of when, you're not the blockbuster type of guy.
All right. Welcome to Blerd Insights, where we celebrate genre entertainment from a blurred perspective. I am your host, the head blurred in charge, Jerence George, and welcome to today's, in case you missed it, review of His House. Real quick, before we get into the movie, I want to share a little something with you and let me know if this sounds familiar. My mother, God rest her soul, she was a little too religious to be a horror fan. She wasn't real big on the horror. Anytime I was watching a horror movie in the living room and she'd come downstairs, it would get shut down. They'd be like, oh, no, you got, I don't deal with that supernatural. I don't do that supernatural. Let me have that remote. Give it here. No, matter of fact, put it in the Bible. Put the remote in the Bible. Where in the Bible? Anywhere where the writing is red. Set it in the Bible, close it, and carry your ass to sleep. As I got older and I learned more about, symbolism and metaphors and all that, I realized how ironic it is for my mother to have taken that stance, because to me, the most effective horror movies are morality tales. Tales about some atrocious thing that happened and the right punishment had not yet been doled out for what happened, so now the main characters have to deal with the repercussions. And they're either connected to the problem or not connected to the problem. The best horror movies are the ones where the main character kind of created the problem they damn self. And they're trying to ignore the repercussions, but the repercussions is on their ass. So her opinion about horror movies to me as I got older seemed a little ironic, because like the Bible, to me the best horror stories are morality tales, or tales of people who went against the grain and now have to deal with the supernatural repercussions of what they done did. Horror movies reaffirm the fact that there is some sort of universal law that if violated in some way, shape, or form, you will have to deal with the blowback. All the best episodes of Twilight Zones, all good horror movies, that's some shit you did. And in my opinion, His House fits that criteria to a T. And the official Blerd Insights word review of the 2020 horror film His House is that it is most definitely worth your time, and even an instant classic. Now, I know I'm not just gonna throw that term on the table and just walk and end the show and bounce and not back it up. I'm not trying to be controversial. I don't just drop statements like that on the table irresponsibly. I don't use the word classic frivolously. That's not what we do on the Blerd Insights show. I am going to tell you right now my reasons why His House is an instant classic. The first reason is it embraces its genre elements. The genre elements are the things that we look for in every genre movie. If you're going to see a sci-fi movie, you're going to want to see people in space, having space problems, talking to aliens, doing some shooting, having spaceship issues. There's certain key things that you look for. Horror movies, for some reason, got to have helpless teenagers most of the time getting whacked off and hacked up. But the best horror movies use that for their advantage. And that's what this movie does. It doesn't need to have a whole lot of elements. It's got a couple, it's got something in the past that they're dealing with, and they're in a small house staring at each other. And then you add a supernatural threat. But me just describing the two people in the house staring at each other, if anybody has had a rough time in their marriage due to COVID, this movie, I'm gonna give you a trigger warning. You might, because it's a lot. Hey, it's just me and you in the house. Second reason why I think this movie is worth checking out is because there is a real story underneath the horror. And I think having a black writer and director in control of the story makes it able to have a certain amount of nuance added to the storytelling. Because the writer and director, Remy Weeks, knows that a horror movie should still be able to work as a drama if you remove the supernatural elements. And there's so many elements in this story that are jam-packed where if it wasn't a ghost story, it would still be a compelling drama. This is a couple that have escaped from war-torn Sudan who are hoping to have some sort of refuge in Britain, in England. The country that is supposed to provide them refuge gives them a new kind of horror in the form of dehumanization, humiliation, and expecting them to be grateful to live in substandard conditions. There's a scene in the beginning that shows the characters that shows the two main characters, the husband and wife, speaking to officials in the British social system, and they're letting them know that they did receive housing and they should be pumped, but then they start listing things that they're not allowed to do, and that list is as ridiculous as it is infuriating and dehumanizing. Because like any good horror story, especially a ghost story like this movie, it doesn't need a whole lot of elements in order to be effective. You got a handful of characters, you have a uncomfortable, claustrophobic setting, and you have a relationship that is strained. Those conditions, and then on top of that, you got a supernatural menacing presence. Those conditions are all you need to make something entertaining. And I love the fact that this movie realizes that and leans into it. It gives us the genre elements. I want to get to my third reason why you should check out this movie, and that's, don't worry, it knows it's a horror movie. In watching this movie over again to prepare for this episode, I was really kind of surprised by the fact that once the creepy shit starts happening, does not stop. Keeps ramping up. A great horror movie cranks up that horror until it forces its characters to have to make certain decisions. And this movie does not let up in that regard. If you're looking for creepy, scary, relentless, just unnerving stuff, I think this movie got you covered. The fourth reason why this movie is worth checking out is because every actor nails their role. If you only got a handful of actors in one movie, there ain't no room for nobody to suck. Nobody can be bad. There's nothing. You gotta bring it. Bring your A game. And I'm so delighted by the fact that every character does just that. Their chemistry is real. They feel like a real couple who has been through some real trauma and who are really trying to lean on each other emotionally to get through it. They're able to convey that with not a whole lot of dialogue scenes back and forth. There's so much, in a movie, the acting is a lot more restraining because all you got is this. You got to do it all here sometimes. In a theater, you can go all out, you can be expressive, and you get to be big. But in a movie, you gotta be tight. You got everything that's going on, it's gotta be right here. And both of the main actors, especially Wunmi Mosaku, is very, very good at expressing a lot of emotion and intention just with a look. There's certain ways that people who have been together for a long time look at each other and can convey so much information with just bam. And every time that the actors do that with one another, it's effective. And they're able to get across so much information about who they are and what their mindsets are without having to say too much. And in a movie where so much depends on the mood and keeping things unsettling, silence is a big factor in that. And this movie capitalizes on that, but it couldn't have done that without some great performances. The fifth reason why I think you should check out this movie is because it looks great. It's a real treat as a horror fan to get a horror movie that looks good, because as horror fans, we're not that discerning. We don't need, you're talking to somebody who lived through the found footage era. We don't need too much fancy camera work. We just need the goods. But this movie goes the extra mile and actually gives you rich, deep colors, browns, red, like I mentioned before, shadows with darkness, sometimes dream-like photography, imagery and certain clothing sometimes that are very reminiscent of African folklore, and it's just very, very good at evoking certain moods just with the colors and with the stillness. This movie's still, it doesn't try to force the horror. This movie is confident enough to know that its story is strong enough and its acting and writing is strong enough that it doesn't have to do too much over the top stuff in order to be effective. And that's confident, strong filmmaking from somebody just starting out with a major production. So kudos to you, my man. All right, folks, here we go. You know what time it is. Here on the Blerd Insight Show, we believe in giving credit where credit is due. So that being said, it's time for some damn awards. Now, this movie, just on a real legit level, should have been at least been acknowledged in something like a Golden Globe, SAG Awards, Directors Guild, something. But horror gets overlooked because it's not really taken that seriously as a genre. That being said, it may not be recognized for some major awards, but here on the Blerd Insights show, we're going to recognize the movie His House for something. So here are the awards. Starting out, first award goes to Wunmi Mosaku as Riel for some excellent eye acting. Specifically given her the award for is the multiple times she was giving her husband in the movie the "I'm about sick of your shit" look.
We have grieved enough. There is no witch.
You could tell that in the culture that they came from, the women probably aren't as encouraged to voice their opinions as much in the household. So just from the look that she was given, she wanted to say more. She wanted to express how her man was fucking up, but it was just a lot of restraint. And she was able to do that just with a performance, just with a look. And also just being a husband and having a black wife, that look means a lot. Wunmi Mosaku for the "I'm about sick of your ass" look. This one's for you, ma'am. Olive Garden gift certificate with your name on it. Second award, come on, bruh. You thought I was gonna leave you hanging, bruh? No, I can't leave the brothers hanging on the Blerd Insight show. The second award goes to the husband of the family, the husband of the couple, Soapy Derisu, who played Ball, B-O-L, Bull, more like Bull. Soapy Derisu, who played Bull, for the constantly stressed out face of the year. You could tell he was dealing with stuff all on his face. And just as the pressure gained and as things kept happening, just the look on his face of just trying to deal with stuff was so real. It's like, bruh, I guess, hey, you black, you might have just been dealing with some shit in real life that you brought to the set. Because you got to be looking like that at Whole Foods. I don't know if you can turn that face off. He looked like he was going through it. So, Soapy Derisu, best stress face. Best stress face acting in a horror movie or in a movie all year. This award's for you, sir. Olive Garden, you've earned it. The third award goes to former Doctor Who himself, making a quick little cameo, Matt Smith. Good job with the assist, man. You're a name. You're the biggest name attached to the movie. Might have been a situation where you helped get the movie, help grease the wheels. If so, that's great. And the character he played played an interesting function. He actually had a little bit of a character to work with. It wasn't a real nothing role. His character who was like, I'm not a complete racist, so I'm not gonna be a absolute dick to you like my coworkers, and I'll treat you with a basic respect, but at the same time, I don't really care, so deal with it. Just that type of performance. It was a real tightrope performance that he did with that character, and he added some depth to it, and he didn't have to. So, Matt Smith with the assist is for you, buddy. Olive Garden. The last award goes to Remy Weeks for adding to the already wonderful and rich assortment of black horror fiction that's out there for us fans out there, man. You came out of the gate and hit a home run with a movie that has depth and significance and some real strong filmmaking and acting choices, but it's still a kick-ass horror movie. Situations like this, I don't like to look up people's damn age, because I know they way younger than me, but I went on and did it. And I shouldn't have, because I got mad, because their ass is 30. You're in your 30s, and you're knocking it out of the park already. But even though I'm mad, I'm still gonna give you the award, man. And this one actually means director, so this one actually fits. So you ain't got to scratch nothing off. So go on to wear this around your neck when you go to the Olive Garden, because you deserved it, sir. This is for you. All right, that's gonna do it for today's show. I hope you enjoyed it. And listen, if you're a fan of black horror, I highly recommend checking out His House on Netflix. I'm the head Blerd in charge. Don't forget to like and subscribe and leave a comment. If you like the comment, let me know. Just if you like the content, let me know. It really helps me and producer Sean and producer D put together the best show possible as we can. We're going to be making some improvements, and we're only moving up for here. So thank you guys for once again joining the show, and we'll catch you next time.